Now, you might wonder, is there any practical value to these Vedic experiences? And, you know, you've heard some of the research that was done on me. They also did my EEG, my brainwaves when I was asleep. There were 11 people total in that study. They hooked me up and then I slept, and they noticed some very interesting brainwave coherence even during sleep, and indicative of a state of restful alertness also during sleep. Maharishi, when he heard about the study, and he also knew some of our experiences of oneness and unity, he called it the EEG of unity. That's how he termed that study. And that study was actually in a very fascinating, it was published in a very fascinating journal with an interesting title called Sleep. So, I haven't really kept track of all the research that was done on me. I didn't really pay attention. You know, they measured my cardiac output, and they measured my breath volume and rate, and galvanic skin response, skin resistance, my gums, hearing. They measured my brain. I just had my brain waves done a few weeks ago again. I don't have results yet. I'll let you all know. They have found something that has fascinated them. When I'm experiencing Veda, they notice there's even more brainwave coherence than when I'm meditating, even though there's brainwave coherence there. And it's a unique kind of coherence. They're finding it's not just one type of coherence. So they don't really know what to make of it. And then there's also, when I do my healing technique, they notice an increase of coherence, and also just with my eyes open. They had me sit there and just stare at a simple object. So, you know, they don't know if that means there's some integration or I'm just unusual or what it is. One final piece of research that I'll mention was done by Dr. Larry Farwell. He's done research for the CIA and FBI. He's been on 60 Minutes and all different kinds of major networks like that. He wanted to see if he could document if we could have an effect by mere intention on matter. Just without any physical intervention, have an intention and then be able to command matter. And the way he did that was he used plutonium as an alpha particle source. He had a particle detector and a bunch of other equipment. And I won't go into all the details. I don't know that I really understand how it all worked. But what he found was that indeed we were able to command matter by mere intention. The results, he was surprised to see, were 250 times more than what you need for statistical significance. That's what's acceptable to be published, and it was 250 times greater than that. It was enough that he wrote a book and included it in that, and it got published as well. I want to share to you an experience that I told Maharishi, the last one, in 2006. Basically what I've been telling you, and won't tell you my experience, I'll just tell you his comments. He commented for about 20 minutes, and I'll just tell you about a minute of his comments. But they play the tape regularly in the domes here in Fairfield, in the meditation domes. So what Maharishi said after I told him my experiences of Veda, he said, I am Atma, I am Veda, I am Vishva, the whole universe, I am Brahm. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahm. These final expressions of reality, your experiences are mounting to that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahm. Total thing is right there. People read Veda in the books. You are experiencing Veda. What is there in the record as the reality? It is a marvelous experience. Very delightful to hear from you. And then he said some personal things and brought up about me being a teacher, which was interesting again, because he always seemed to keep pushing me to share and to teach and all that, bringing me out of my cave. He sent a gift of the Vedic alphabet to me, and that hangs in the meditation domes here. I want to then offer to you as my own simple example, personal example, that Veda is something more than what we read in the books, that it is more than a collection of sounds, that it can be personally experienced. And you may experience Veda in a different way. We all experience pure knowledge in different ways, and we need those different flavors. So I just want to offer these to you as my simple example of Veda. I wanted to give you all a gift today. I wasn't able to bring a lot of produce from my garden today, just a little bit, and it's downstairs, because there was a last-minute emergency. I needed to help somebody. But we will have a drawing in just a second for a free private session. And I did want to also thank you all for the gift of your kind attention as we went along this personal journey of 42 years of experiencing Veda, and how it all started with a surprise, how I resisted it in the beginning, how a few words from Maharishi redirected the course of my life from straining against a natural flow of pure knowledge, and instead left me to enjoy the bliss and oneness and euphoria of the humming hymns of Veda. Thank you very much. Did anybody have any questions? Yes.
You mentioned Larry's research, but I didn't get clear what he found when he was working with you. Was that a general thing about the 250%?
He did a study that included, so the question was about Larry Farwell's study that was on how intention could affect moving matter or affecting matter. And it was a study done on 26 people. And he said my particular results were excellent, were outstanding. So he had us have an intention and then to see if we could have an effect. And the study, when they did the calculations for it, was 250 times greater than what you need to be acceptable for publishing the work for statistical significance. So it was through the roof, as he put it. And so does that answer your question?
So the 250% was the result of the 26?
Of the 26 people, yeah.
Can you describe the actual experiment? What it was that was affected by intention?
Yeah, it was an alpha particle source. He had us sit in front of a computer screen. And we were supposed to have the intention for the setup to either be odd or even. Now, mathematicians will know, like flipping a coin, there's a 50-50 chance it's going to be odd or even, okay? Because it was generated by the computer. And we were told you should have it come out be even, or have the set come out be odd. And then we were able to influence it. So this is a way that researchers have found to see if humans, through intention, can have an effect on even mechanical events. And they've done other studies like this as well, and they've found this is repeatable. So it's good from time to have some kind of intention. We shouldn't underestimate the value and power of our own thoughts, feelings. And that's one of the reasons why we come together to do this session.
Do you have the name of Larry's book?
Yes, How Consciousness Commands Matter. You can get it at Amazon. Farwell, Farwell. Yeah, I recently got the book, and he has a whole chapter about this study.
Is he still here?
No, he hasn't been here for quite some time. He's come up with some kind of invention for brain fingerprinting.
Yeah, that's his business.
Yes, yeah. Good. Yes.
Suzanne, you mentioned that a Yajurvedic pundit came, and Maharishi was telling him your experience, but you didn't say what the pundit said.
Well, the pundit didn't give a comment, and he wasn't specifically a Yajurvedic pundit, to my knowledge. I'm not sure what he was. I just know he was treated with great respect and reverence, and I'd never seen him before. When he came in, Maharishi immediately started telling him about my experiences I told him a year before, and I was kind of surprised Maharishi had noticed the details of the experience. So, yes.
So you hear the Sanskrit hymns. Do you enjoy reading the letters and sounds? Do you read Sanskrit?
On rare occasion, it's blissful. I mean, it's there in consciousness, and it's blissful when I look at it. It's like seeing a loved one, a dear friend. It's like that for me. It's like Veda is. And when someone says the word Veda, it's just like I want to turn my head in recognition, like my name's been called, because that's how intimate it is with me. It's just who I am. And of course, I don't invent Veda. It's like a radio station, that is always on, and so we can tune into it. And again, it's not that anyone needs to feel that if they're not hearing hymns of Veda that they're unevolved or something like that. We all really do experience pure knowledge in different ways, and so one is not better than another, and we need all our variety. Yeah.
Has Maharishi ever commented on whether or not cognizing the Veda like that is an aspect of unity, or whether it's whether it correlates with any of these 7 or 8 states of consciousness?
That's a good question. He did make a wonderful tape. I don't know if it's in the Vedic Studies series or not, where someone asked him a question about the difference between a man in Brahman and someone that cognizes Veda. And if I recollect clearly, I think what he said was that a person in Brahman doesn't necessarily have experiences of Veda. Not everybody will.
So it's your DNA, not your state of consciousness.
He didn't use the word DNA to my knowledge at that time. Maybe he did some other time.
And so the male side usually is the one that cognizes. He said there are female seers.
Rig Veda has many female seers. Bagumberni is one, and the Maharishi Bagumberni Golden Dome, when they get together and do their meditation program. She was a female rishi. So there are female rishis. So he did make it clear, not everyone, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Or as one Middle Eastern friend said, not everybody's cup of tea bag. They have their own way of saying things. So it's not for everybody, but it doesn't mean, that you're less evolved. In my viewpoint, it's just we need every different angle. And so that's why some people do, some people don't, but you're experiencing something else. So, yes.
Are you hearing the Vedic hymns that create your physiology? Or are you hearing the Vedas that, as Maharishi has said, the kinds there are, Rig, Sama, all of those?
I would say both. I would say I do sometimes hear experience hymns of Rig Veda, Sama, Yaja, or Tarva Veda. I've been having a lot of interesting things going on with Veda in my body, and it feels like parts of my body are kind of regenerating in some way. Maybe next time we'll talk about it. Been having experiences of like gems of consciousness. Ratna is the Sanskrit term. And that's a very beautiful subject. It's like concentrated gems of pure consciousness actually in the body. And that's all related. And maybe next time we'll talk about gems of consciousness next time. But both, I experience my body as hymns of faith, because that's what it really is. I mean, that's why I experience it anyway. It's like a fabric of faith. I see everything as a fabric of faith. And with the healing work, sometimes the fabric's kind of bunched up a little bit. So it just, re-enlivening it from its pure level seems to help. Lots of good questions. Oh yeah, Kathy?
Is there a greater frequency of different Veds that you hear? Like, is it like I'm thinking of recipe, you know what I mean? Like, is there more, do we hear less of Yajurveda than we do of Samaveda and Rigveda? I'm just curious the proportions.
I tend to hear more of Samaveda, but I do hear Rig sometimes, or sometimes Atharva Yajur, but less so. More I seem to be rolling in the glorious hymns of Samaveda, and it's just like...
Well, I'm just wondering if that is a more general, might be more generalized
I have no clue.
tendency, not hearing but being. I mean, just because some of the other, like Yajur, I don't know, I've got the sense that they're used in a certain kind of universal therapy, you know, the therapy of the universe in their own specialized way, whereas some others seem to be more bread and butter. You see what I mean?
Yeah, and also, well, there are specific hymns that will enliven specific things in a nervous system.
Yeah.
And when I had the opportunity to ask Roger Ram about that, he said, I'm glad you brought that up. I want to put more attention on this. And he used some interesting words. He said, I think you're on the right track, which was the same words that Maharishi said when I asked him how I was doing with my progress with cognizing the missing rings of the Age of Enlightenment. But yeah, I mean, if you ascribe to the concept that the hymns of Veda are who we really are, or what we're made of, then to heal, that comes into play.